This new radiator uses these pins and clips instead of the bolts that go through, and we're taking the bolts off now. Anyway, yeah, it pushes these through where it mounts at, and then you put these little clips on there. Here's the bolt here. Well, we got that on the bottom and on the top, so you got to get a nut on the other side. Have to take those out, and then we'll replace them with the pins. We're breaking bolts or nuts off that hold this thing on where those pins are going to go to replace it. We can't get a hold of the other side, and it's rusted pretty bad. So I'm going to cut this piece off with a Sawzall, and I might have to do that on all of them. We'll find out. Okay, I cut this bolt head off, and I'm using a grinder on it now to finish cutting that down so I can just knock it through the other side. Okay, I got this ground down. Now I'm going to go ahead and punch that through, knock it out the other side. Don't forget to support the hood with something before you take those straps off, or cables, or whatever your truck has that holds the hood up. We're not able to get any of these bolts that go through and hold the radiator out. We had to cut the heads off of all of them with the Sawzall. And then we took a grinder, flattened them down like I showed you on the other one. We're doing all of them that way. Go ahead and knock that one out. You can take the radiator hose off and get more room. Well, up here on top, in front, on mine anyway, everybody's is a little different. I've got a couple of more hidden bolts up here holding the top on. I already loosened it a little bit. Got to take these out, one on each side. And then I think we might be able to get this bracket off of the top. We're having a little trouble getting these little square holes here on this plastic radiator. They kind of snap closed inside these little square things here. They snap inside of these, and we had to spread this out to get the top one off. The bottom one, I'm having to spread it out as well, and it's springing back. I'm getting ready to stick a bigger screwdriver in there to pry this out, spread it open. We'll just squeeze it shut when we get the new radiator in there, but I'm having to do that so I can get this thing out of there, because it's still inside. This thing here is still trapped inside that hole, and it's not letting me pull the radiator out. So got to get it away from here. We got to move it out about 1/8 of an inch so we can lift it out of there. So I got to spread this out about that far on both sides. We are having too much trouble spreading this thing out to get this out of there. It looks like it's just a one-time lock-in situation. I don't remember having that trouble when I changed this radiator, but that was like 15 years ago. I'm just going to take, since this is all plastic, I'm just going to take the Sawzall and just cut those locking blocks right off of there. I'm just going to cut them off, take this radiator out, because the plastic is cracked and leaking anyway, so we can't fix it. This side over here on the passenger side is all boxed in where we can't just reach in there with the saw. We had to cut the lower hose connection off so we could reach down in here and cut these blocks out of here that are snapped into these holes on this metal, and he was able to get some of it off on this side, not all of it. We're going to try. I'm going to cut the other side off and see if getting that one loose will help break this one loose too. Yeah, we're free now. We can get this up out of there. Had to take these bolts out of the air cooler, and of course they broke, and I had to replace them. Had to raise the air cooler up as high as it would go with the bolts in there and tighten them back down, and now these new pins will fit through there. And I got this bent out just enough for the clip to go on it there. Got it like that on both sides. Now we got to pick up the radiator and slide it down in here. Put a little nylon tape or Teflon tape on these fittings and put those back in there that it came with, and then squeeze this down with a C-clamp, pushing the head of the pin in on this side enough to get the clip started on this side. And we got that done on both sides, on both bottoms. Now all we got to do is the tops. We are just about done putting this thing back together, except the antifreeze. I drilled some holes in the shroud here because I couldn't raise this thing up high enough unless I turned these bolts around, put the nuts on top, and then I'm not sure I could have then either. So I just drilled some holes in it to give me a little bit more room to raise it up, because it was gonna, the fan was gonna hit up there on top. And so we got a little more space there now. We're just gonna put some antifreeze in it and get it back together.